The opposition demanded from the government answers as to how and where millions of dollars were spent after the fire back in July destroyed more than 60% of the structures at the Camp Street jail. Opposition Chief Whip Gail Teixeira was not hesitant to express her own opinion on the state of the Lusignan Holding Center after hundreds of prisoners were transferred there.
As a girl who grew up in Working Rust, I grew up a block from that prison. The entire 50s and 60s. And there were times when the prisoners be bad, built things and all sorts of things. Nothing like this. And I grew up in the violence of the 60s, the violence in Georgetown in the 60s. And nothing like this that I've experienced. So I have a certain affinity, a certain concern, because that's my neighborhood, which some of you don't know.
Ms. Teixeira further opined that there were several unanswered questions following the devastation at Camp Street, especially how funds were being spent by the government, even though there were press conferences held by stakeholders explaining how much was being spent to temporarily house prisoners.
Your budget went up to $883,660,000 for 2017. Well, we have no idea. No idea. All we know is that the minister says the ministry is underperformed. By mid-July, it was about 35%, and some ministries were hoping to make 60%, 70% by December 2017. However, you have a situation in which it is critical that you move with some alacrity. This is not a building which will be occupied. It is a building that have to be occupied.
But when it was time for the government to respond, Minister of Public Security Kamraj Ramchatan expressed the view that the motion filed by the opposition was quote-unquote not worth even the paper it is written on.
Almost 8 press conferences that I held during that period of time after those incidents, whereby I answered almost all the questions the press asked of me. And that is why today they could come here and are so replete with the facts as to what happened, and they could tell us. And so they're indicating now that, oh yes, we have to have a commission of inquiry. Well, there is some ambivalence there.
Minister Ramchatan then responded to questions by the opposition about those prison escapees who remain on the run and the state of the security of the Camp Street and Lusignan prisons.
Well, I have made a statement. I will stick to that statement. At this point in time, yes, when the 2 more are captured, we will have an inquiry. Until such time, well, it is not going to be done.
Javon Vickery, HGP Nightly News.